All right, guys, do we have a most awesome Shirogorov here to talk about today? Yeah, I can't. I've never really been a Shirogorov fan until I've gotten to spend time with this Hati magnetic. Sent to me from Mr. Ed. I, man, yeah, if you just are here to see if I like this or not, I guess you can click off. But to say I like it is an understatement. Yeah, what can I say? It's fantastic. It's super thin. We'll talk about all the specs. We'll talk about some of the interesting features of this knife that are not normal to Shirogorov. They're not normal to knives, period. And one of the features that we'll just dive right into first off, that's hard to show, is that the scale is concave. I don't even know if I zoom in, will you be able to see? Oh, I got it here. So if we take a pencil, you can kind of see that it's not, maybe you can, maybe you can't. That's not working the way I thought it would. So anyway, there is a slight concaveness to the scale on both sides, actually. More so on the carbon fiber side, but you can still feel it here on the lock side. Which, if you think about it, typically a Shirogorov is going to be convex and it's going to swell out to fill up your hand, right? And that's typical with most knives. You're either going to have kind of a flat side or one that kind of bulges out to fill your hand. So when I first heard that this was concave, I thought that's going to be really strange, really kind of odd. But in grabbing it and holding on to it and really thinking about it, your fingers drop right in there. Like it's counterintuitive for sure, but it works amazingly well. Like, yeah, it's a thing that I think more makers, more brands should maybe consider. It may not be right for everybody in every situation, but for something like this that's super thin, it just works. Like, it's just awesome. All right, so it's the Hati magnetic. We'll just get a couple of specs out of the way. It's 5 inches by 8 3/4, 3.8 inch blade. This one is an S90V. Weighs in at 3.3 ounces. Super lightweight. Not quite the 1.5 ounces of the VC Edge interface, but really lightweight for the size of this knife. It runs on single row roller bearings. Now, I believe when I did the RJ Martin collab video just the other day, I totally spaced putting in pictures of the roller bearings. So I'm going to put them in here. Hopefully when I'm done filming, I'll remember to put the pictures in this time. You know, stuff happens, guys. What can I tell you? So that's kind of the basic specs. If you want more detail, like behind the edge, all that stuff, I've got some of that. So what makes this kind of special? What are some of the uniquenesses of this particular Shirogorov over others? Well, let's see. It's carbo tie. Okay, so it's a carbon fiber with titanium dust mixed in. They call this the magnetic, I believe, and again, I am not a Shirogorov guy. I am no expert at all. I have friends that are experts and that own a lot and know a lot more about them than I do. So I preface everything I'm saying by that. But I think it's called magnetic because of the magnesium that's in titanium, maybe, that's mixed in. Maybe there's some magnesium that's mixed into this also. Not really sure, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so you got the carbo tie scales. You have internal milling, which helps with the weight on the carbon fiber side, which is really hard to tell because of the material. On the lock bar side, and even, which I don't know that you're really going to be able to see, but there's even pockets milled into the pocket clip to really save on the weight. That's very cool. The bear is on the hardware because I think that's a great spot to put it rather than on the carbon fiber that you wouldn't see. This rear hardware is offset, so this part is captured. So when you go to disassemble this knife, which the pictures I showed are of this exact knife disassembled because Mr. Ed takes everything apart. Although in talking to him, he also owns a full dress interface. He has not taken apart his interfaces. So again, something unique about this particular Shirogorov model is there's a cutout here in the pocket clip to access that hardware, which is not on a lot of other Shirogorovs. So this one has space, but there's no cutout. So you have to be a little bit more careful, if you will. What about this one here? This one here, it's just different altogether. They just moved it the opposite direction. Okay, so you got that cutout. You've got this milling, which is the same milling that is on this side. It's hard to see, but you can kind of see the ridges in there. Apparently, it basically mimics the milling on this side that you can see. There's even micro milling in the lock bar cutout. And there is no milling right here where the steel lock bar insert attaches, which actually attaches from the inside. 3D milled pocket clip, kind of standard affair there. The pivot has these pivot collars, which on the show side are integrated into the actual pivot. It's like the bearing race on the underside. This is the captured pivot side. This side is the tool side. And what they've done here, which I don't think they have done on, I don't know if it's on any other ones, but not all of them, is you can see that it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit closed in here on this end of the pivot of the tool opening. I'll show you this side here where it's just straightly opened, but it's a little bit closed here on this side. That's to better hold the tool. So the tool is not going to slip out. I think that's very cool. They've also kind of closed in right here, this gap, so that there's no way for your finger to reach the heel of the blade if you were to slip off of the flipper tab, which I think one of my biggest, I don't want to say gripe, but my biggest issue with Shirogorov is the flipper tab. On this particular one, it works most of the time for me, but there are times where I slip off. Okay, those couple of times I did try to slip off, but I will slip off of this particular flipper tab quite a bit. This one on the F111, I think is what this one's called. I never slip off of this one. This one's much more, just the shape of it is a little bit different. And then on this one, which I think is the Celestial Constellation, I don't remember the name. I haven't filmed this one yet. This one is a little bit different as well and just works better for me too. So I think my concern with Shirogorov, or my thing with them, one is their flipper tab is not my favorite. Okay. So we talked about the roller bearings. We talked about the pivots. We talked about that. What else are we looking at? I'm just looking at my notes really quick. And I think that's really most of what I had written down. I think this is a fantastic knife. Now, I was like a lot of you. I was into the big, overbuilt Medfords, DSKs, ADV, like those big guys. And then I started to evolve into slimmer knives. This is the RJ Martin Q36 SS, super slim, which is a little bit thicker. It's about the same size as this Shirogorov. And again, this one just works great in my pocket, and I love it. Got the micro milling there on the fat carbon and whatnot. So I've really gravitated more towards thinner knives over the last, period of time, year or so. Sold a lot of my overbuilds, still own some of the overbuilds, but I've gravitated more towards slimmer. The Hellraisers are not necessarily slimmer, but they're certainly not in that overbuilt category with the 1/4-inch blades and things like that. These are usable knives in a very unique shape. And so I love them too. But yeah, as far as slimness goes, Shirogorov goes, this is the Shirogorov for me. This is the one that's really kind of tipped me towards liking Shirogorov. And I've done some other videos, and I'll put a link to Shirogorov playlist up above. This one is pretty freaking perfect. I don't know that I would change anything but the flipper tab a little bit, just because I don't love the tabs. Let me give you one last close-up of the whole thing. Love the blade shape. The blade finish is great. We've got the CD here because this is a custom division. And they have multiple divisions. And I think what I have here, like this is not a custom division. But there is also then the next level up is full custom. And those are really tough to get. Really more expensive than even this one. And this is no slouch, let me tell you. This is pricey. And again, I'm honored that Mr. Ed sent me a very pricey box of stuff. And you've seen the unboxing. It was all heavy hitters, 4 Shirogorovs and 2 other heavy hitter customs. So yeah, super honored by that. Your full custom Shirogorovs. All right, this is a mouse pad underneath here. So if I do sometimes drop something, it's fine. It's just a big gamer's mouse pad that I use, so it doesn't hurt anything. Yeah. Again, you guys get unedited videos. Like it or not, I'm not super production guy. I just am your normal guy here talking about knives that are awesome. And this one's awesome. And this is also Mr. Ed's favorite favorite slim knife. It's not for sale. One of my other buddies saw the unboxing and whatnot, asked me to ask if it was for sale. Yeah, no, I don't think it is. Mr. Ed is one of his favorite knives, so I'm not even going to try to talk him out of it. And for good reason. I understand it now. I get it. This has converted me. So, yeah, that's what I love about having this channel and being able to borrow and see stuff that I don't normally get to see. And I get to spend time with it. It's different when you're at a show and you see something for 5 minutes on a table or out of somebody else's pocket for a few minutes. You don't really get to experience it. I've been carrying this a little bit. Ed told me, go ahead, carry it, use it. None of his are safe queens. So I have been. And it's a fantastic knife. And yeah, if one of these came up for sale, I would consider buying it, even though I know what the pricing is. They're $3,500 and up. I think it's worth it. I would probably be down to start, trying to justify in my mind spending that kind of money. I spent close to $3,000 on that. So $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 for a knife at this point in my evolution of knives. Yes, that's not an insignificant amount of money. Don't get me wrong. That's not, oh, sure, pocket change, I'll buy it without even questioning myself. But it's something I can totally justify in my life and in my hobby. And I'm okay with that. So, I don't know, let me know your thoughts. You Shirogorov fans, if I got something wrong, please comment down below because I know I'm not an expert. Didn't even really love them until now. So, Mr. Ed, thank you. And damn you for converting me? I don't know. We'll see what's to come in my collecting as far as Shirogorovs go. Thanks again, everyone. Please check out the Shirogorov playlist on the side and have a fantastic Friday. That's the day I'm filming this, but you have a fantastic day, whatever the day it is that you are watching.